is something we need. It's a leap of faith. Oh, if you have the will and the moment to spare, it's a beautiful world out there. It's a beautiful world out there.
The River Tweed, after sweeping round Old Melrose, continues its course amid lovely and isolated scenery, and with a fine circuitous sweep embraces the woody grounds of Dryburgh, where among fruit trees and shrubs stands the picturesque and venerable ruins of the abbey. The name Dryburgh is supposed to have come from the Celtic Darach Bruach, meaning the bank of the sacred grove of oaks, or the settlement of Druids. Indeed, oaks appear to grow here with a height as if they were perfectly at home. Various vestiges of pagan worship have been discovered in the vicinity of Dryburgh, especially on the mound known as Bass Hill, which appears to have been a burial place. At a very early period, Christianity seems to have displaced pagan worship at Dryburgh. In the year 522, a famous saint of the name of Modan was elected abbot of the Society of Christian Missionaries established there. But this early religious community must have been swept away with the ravages of war, which frequently raged in the south part of Scotland, and another monastery of greater magnitude was afterwards founded in the same place, the ruins of which are now called Dryburgh Abbey. It has been thought that David I was the founder of the monastery, but it seems more probable that he only sanctioned what was done by Hugh de Morville, the Constable of Scotland, and Beatrice Beauchamp, his wife, who were great benefactors of the religious institution, which owed its existence to their bounty. The monastery was founded in 1150, and on St Martin's Day of the same year the cemetery was consecrated, and the convent, which was composed of canons of the Premonstratensian order, brought from the abbey recent founded at Alnwick, came to rise at Dryburgh on the 13th of December 1152. History unfolds but few incidents concerning Dryburgh. The abbot and canons took an oath of fidelity to Edward I in 1296 and obtained restitution of their property, which the English monarch had declared forfeited. In 1322, Dryburgh received a visit from Edward II and his army. In their retreat from the unfortunate invasion of Scotland, they encamped on the neighbouring heights and set fire to the monastery and burnt it to the ground. Tradition says, at first the abbey was left unhurt, but on the army retreating southwards, the abbey bells began to ring merrily, and that, conceiving an insult was intended to them, the English returned and burnt the abbeys of Dryburgh and Melrose. King Robert I, with his wonted liberality, assisted in repairing the ruin, but notwithstanding his liberal contributions, it is questionable whether the abbey was ever fully restored to its original magnificence. Dryburgh was again destroyed and burnt by King Richard and his army in their retreat from Scotland in 1385. It seems to have been peculiarly liable to devastation. A letter written apparently by the Duke of Albany in 1523 to the Cardinal Protector of Scotland at the court in Rome states that the abbey was liable to continual inroads, and seeing that neither sex nor age was respected in the repeated attacks, it is mentioned that James Stewart, afterwards appointed abbot, was well qualified to protect the canons and the monastery. Another sad dilapidation occurred in 1544. The Earl of Mar obtained from James VI a grant of Dryburgh Abbey in 1604. It was afterwards erected into temporal lordship and subsequently sold to the Haliburtons of Merton, the ancestors of Sir Walter Scott. The burial place of the family of Haliburtons is within the precinct of the abbey. One of the aisles of the north transepts belongs to them as a place of rest, and Sir Walter Scott was interred here besides the remains of his ancestors and his wife on the 26th of September 1833. Sir Walter Scott tells a story of the abbey in his The Minstrelsy of the Scottish Border, An unfortunate female wanderer took up her residence in a dark vault among the ruins of Dryburgh Abbey, which during the day she had quitted. When night fell, she issued from her miserable habitation and went to the house of Mr. Halliburton of Newmains, or to that of Mr. Erskine of Shielfield, two gentlemen of the neighbourhood. From their charity she obtained such necessities as she could prevail to accept. At 12 each night she lit her candle and returned to her vault, assuring her friendly neighbours that during her absence her habitation was arranged by a spirit, to whom she had uncouthly named Fat Lips, describing him as a little man wearing heavy iron shoes, with which he trampled the clay floor of the vault to dispel the damps. This circumstance caused her to be regarded by the well-informed with compassion, as deranged in her understanding, and by the vulgar with some degree of terror. The cause of her adopting this extraordinary mode of life she would never explain. It was, however, believed to have been occasioned by a vow that during the absence of a man to whom she was attached, she would never look upon the sun. Her lover never returned. He fell during the Civil War of 1745-46, and she never the more behold the light of day. The vault, or rather dungeon, in which the unfortunate woman lived and died, passes by the name of the supernatural being with which its gloom was tenanted by disturbed imagination, and few of the neighbouring peasants dare enter it.